What's going on YouTube? This is SB3 and today I am going to be doing a review of the newly released MXGP 2021. Or is it MXGP 2020? I don't really know. But today I'm going to be going through and doing a basic rundown of the new gear sets, helmets, bike components, rider roster, and things like that, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, how it compares to MXGP 2020, as well as do some basic run through of some of the tracks, just to give you an idea of what they look like and how they run, and how the physics have changed from the previous year. I'll be honest, in the limited time that I've played it, I'm not too impressed with really anything that this game's got going on. And just as a preference or a preface, I do already have a physics mod installed by Pay2021, and then I also have his first gear mod installed already. I have also gone through and done the money mod to really take out the credits grind, because it's a grind to get any sort of money in this game to do any type of advancement in this game. So we'll start off with the gear sets just to show you, and I'll start off with the helmets. We'll start with Arrow, and I'm going to be quiet for the majority of this just because I'm going to be cycling through the different ones. I'll chime in whenever I get over a specific gear set if it's something new or something different. I haven't checked this as far as comparing it to 2020 or Supercross 4, but I'm pretty sure the 60 helmets are the exact same ones that have been available, which is okay. I like their helmets. I think they do a good job. So they look nice. And they have a plenty of options available. Moving into Arrow, this is the first bit of modded things that you've seen in this game as far as helmets. Again, this is something that was added post-release by Pay2021. This is only available on PC. I do like that Pay added the new, for Jason Anderson moving to the Monster Energy Kawasaki team. I like that he added the new Arrow helmet to help with the 2022 gear lineup that's going to be coming out. Same thing with Arrow, as it's been with most of these. There hasn't been a whole lot of different helmets that have been added to the game. It really looks like most of these helmets have been ported over from MXGP 2020 or previous games from whenever they first got launched into the series. So as far as gear selection goes, if this is a game that you haven't bought in a couple of years, or if it's a game you're looking to purchase for first time, if you're really big into gear and being able to have customization on your rider, it's good for a first time. But if you've been buying the series like I have, um, then this is really just a little disappointing in the fact that there's really not a whole lot of stuff that's come out that's any different. Um, Alpine Stars, again, I think every single helmet on there was in the previous game. And if you guys watched my review in the last game for MXGP 2020, I gave them a lot of slack because of COVID happening, and really all these different factors came into play that really I justified why the game was a little lackluster compared to, some of the bigger improvements that you'd seen in previous games. Whenever you look at coming into 2021, yes, things with COVID are still a little bit more challenging than what they may have been pre-COVID, but they've had a whole year to figure it out. And while it may not be an ample amount of time to figure out everything, I was hoping to see a little bit more effort, a little bit more progression in 2021 versus what we saw from 2020, at least in the customization aspect, because it's, we're running on 4 or 5 years that we've had a lot of the same gear, a lot of the same things in here, and they're just not, instead of changing year over year like you would expect to see, they've been adding APs here or there. Like Fox, I don't remember, in the games, I don't usually run Fox, it's usually Alpine Stars or Thor, but there's just not a whole lot. Like this has been in the last couple, a lot of these are just cut and paste. And like I said, in last year I gave them a lot of slack because of the circumstance that had happened, and COVID shut down a lot of the world, especially overseas. So I was very understanding in this situation that, okay, well, they had to port over a lot of different stuff because they still have to release these games via their agreement to release a game yearly with Feld or FIM or whoever is in charge of that contract. But getting a year removed from COVID shutting everything down, I was really hoping for a little bit more of a step in the right direction than what we got as far as helmets and everything like that goes. Because I've looked at everything. I've unlocked most of the gear that I'm going to use, and honestly, if it was for Pay2021, if it wasn't for Pay2021, this game wouldn't even be on my radar, because at least from a gear standpoint, this really seems to be a lot of the same that you saw in 2020. Um, there's some different brands that, like just one, you never see their gear, but you see their helmets. To me, it's a little confusing, the disconnect that you see in some of the gear sets that are available versus the ones that aren't. Like 2020, I think um, it didn't have Fox boots, but they had Fox gear and Fox helmets, which was kind of a big question mark to a lot of people. That you figure if they had the rights to the gear, that they would have the rights to the boots, but you know, whatever, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of the same brands. I've never looked at really at just one, so I don't know how they compare to the different, how it compares to different years. Um, I'm hoping, like, I'm after giving MXGP and Milestone specifically a lot of slack in the previous games. I'm honestly at the end of my rope with this. I mean, I understand that they have to do these yearly contracts, but if they have a yearly contract within Feld or the FIM or whoever's the governing party in this, they need to figure something out to get a little bit more slack, especially in the circumstance that happened last year. That's an out of ordinary, something that happens that nobody could have planned for. So I mean, I think if there would have been a year for us to get an off year to really for them to hone their craft, it would have been last year. So I don't know if the contractual agreement has them really with their hands tied behind their back, saying it doesn't matter what the circumstances, you have to release a game every year in order to continue producing games. And even if this is cut and copied and pasted, and, they're getting marketing for it from, you know, Supercross for the Supercross game and the MXGP series. They're getting marketing for it to release these games, which they have deadlines to meet, and I get that, but there's got to be a little bit more. Like this shift helmet, it's been, I think we're going back to Supercross 2, maybe even earlier. I don't even know. I mean, but these three, you know, Shoei, again, I don't use Shoei. I mean, the main helmets I use are Alpine Stars, Bell, Fox, and sometimes Arrow. So I mean, a lot of these I don't even pay a whole heck of a lot of attention to. But it's disappointing to see that we've gone another year, and Milestone, at least in the gear department, has not made any tracks forward with it. Even with some of the lower budget, and I don't mean that as a knock on like Shot Racing or some like Kenny or some of the other smaller brands. You'd think that they'd be out, like they'd be to the teeth getting everything on there, and I don't know if they're just not seeking out the contracts to get new gear deals or what's going on with it. But having the same gear for 3 or 4 years, it's ridiculous. I mean, you look at MXT versus ATV. They get some of the newer gear, but I mean, you look at what was it, MX versus ATV Alive? They had gear DLCs. I think that's a very huge market that people could get on. Is it important to everybody? No, but I can guarantee you that they would generate sales if they had a DLC that they released every year. Just hey, MXGP or Supercross 2020 or Supercross 5 is going to release. It's covering the 2021 season. They can make a lot of money by releasing either a roster update or they could get a 2022 gear deal and just release all the new gear and have that stock as the next game's main gear and then do rinse and repeat. It's kind of shady, but I would be open to that because to get new gear, if that's something they have to do, if there's an added cost that needs to get added in, make it optional, obviously, so that way if you don't care about the gear and you just want to run some basic stuff, then you have the opportunity to do so. But is this it? Okay, so they start off with Fox and the goggles, same two that they've had. I can't read that. Is it IXS? I think it's IXS. I'm gonna say it's IXS. Um, I don't really know a whole lot of these. I mean, they seem to have a lot of Liet, but again, I don't use Liet, so they could have gotten all new colorways, and I would have no clue. But yeah, it's a lot of the community is very irritated, I think, with the way Milestone is handling this game because they know that they're the only real quote licensed game for Supercross and motocross, or well, not motocross, for MXGP. Um, if you're looking at any of the other game, MX versus ATV, for example, we don't know what Legends is going to hold, but we do know that with All Out, their BRAP system was, I think it was next level because it gives you the opportunity. It cuts their prices way low because they don't have to worry about contracts of getting people. But then it gives the people, the players, the opportunity to add the riders that they want to race against. And I think that's awesome. So they did add what, one, two. They added a couple more of the pro. Um, what is this, Pro Grip? Yeah, Pro Grip. They added a couple more of these, which is good. I think last year they only had that one. 100% again, and this might be I'm from the States, so I'm a huge AMA Supercross fan. So a lot of these brands that I know, like 100%, Oakley, Fox. I mean, these are all well-known brands, but you come over and I don't really know Pro Grip. I don't know R&R. You don't see them on a lot of the American riders, so I think they have a little bit easier time getting some of the European or the international brands versus something where you see a lot of Scott's in here. They have a fair amount of options available, which is good. I like Scott goggles. A lot of these are the same. So then we're running back, and everything with MXGP 2021 that I've played so far, it all runs back and it's very, very familiar to MXGP 2020. Even MXGP 2019. Oh, okay, I thought they had the same. I thought they had the same goggles. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, you're just not seeing a whole lot of change with the new game. You're paying a $50 price mark to get supposedly a brand new game, and a lot of that is you think you'd be getting new gear sets and things like that as well, and you're just not. Um, I really think that they're taking advantage of the market a little bit. There's not as many motocross games as I think everybody would like. There's the hardcore sims like MX Simulator, and then there's I want to say it's more of a hybrid like MX Bikes, and then you have completely arcade with MX vs ATV. At this point it's All Out, but Reflex and all these other games that they're really um that was weird. Whoa, sorry. The MX versus ATV is really more of the arcadey side, and then I think MXGP Supercross games, they're licensed. They're still arcade, but they're at least I think they're if MX versus ATV is completely arcade, and then MX Simulator is full sim. MX Bikes is more towards the simulator side, and then the Milestone games are a little bit more towards the arcadey side, but they're a little bit closer together. I mean, obviously, MX Bikes is going to be a lot more intuitive, realistic compared to what this is, but MX versus ATV Legends All Out, these are going to be completely arcade games. I guess I can't say that about Legends, but versus MXGP Supercross game, it's at least a little bit more of a simulated feeling versus what MX versus ATV is. It feels a little bit more realistic. It looks a little bit more realistic. So that was kind of my rant on that. Okay, this is probably why a lot of people are here. This is going to be the gear sets for the MXGP 2021 and 250. I don't know a whole lot about them, but it's, again, I think these two gear sets were in there before. I know this was this has been for a Cherbis. This has been in several games, at least Supercross and Motocross, or Supercross and MXGP of last year. So a Cherbis is usually the one that we see a lot of new gear sets. So I think this one's new. These aren't new, I know that, but it's just disappointing that you see a level of effort. I don't want to say effort, but they're releasing, they released the Hot Wheels game, and they're releasing Supercross 5, and they have Ride 5, I'm assuming, and it's just it's getting to the point where we're getting very little difference for a $50 price mark. So it's at this point, to me, whenever I was sitting here going through a lot of this, it felt like more of like a DLC update to MXGP 2020. And MXGP 2020 felt kind of like an update to MXGP 2019. So this is MXGP 2019 V2 or V3, V3. That's kind of where I'm at with it, and it's unfortunate because I like supporting Milestone. They really put us in a position where we had licensed motocross games that we didn't really have before, but it's just getting to the point where it's a little frustrating. And then again, this is the modded equipment that's on here. If you want to see the actual stuff that's being put on here, then it's going to be down in where I'm actually thumbing through it. But Alpine Stars, nothing. A lot of the gear is the exact same. I don't think they have any new gear. This has been 3, 4, 5 games. Yeah, I mean, thank God for Pay2021, because you're looking at, I mean, this is a little bit newer compared to what it was here. These were a little bit newer, but this was in MXGP, I think, or is it in Supercross 4? So it makes sense that you're going to see a little bit of rollover going from like Supercross 4 to the new MXGP game or vice versa, but it shouldn't be this. It shouldn't be this. This one I think is new. I think this is what I think Tom Vial wore in the game. Tom Vial and Jeffrey Hurlings wore as the AI last year. Circuit equipment has no new gear. Fly racing has no new gear. Fox Racing, I think this one is new. And then these were in Supercross, but this one I don't think was in Supercross. This one might have been in Supercross. IXS. Legacy? Legacy? Is that who this is? Yeah. O'Neill. Pro Grip. Has 3. Rico. Scott. That's new. 7. Shift, this was a DLC however many Supercross games ago, and it's just gotten reported every game since. Shot racing gear. This was all in the previous Supercross game. You got Sway, Thor. This was DLC in a previous game, and they ported it over. This was in the last game. You can also go through and see, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at the rider model, then you're going to see the new Pay2021 gear mods, which is, I can't state it enough how much of a godsend, at least for the PC community, that Pay2021 has been, because a lot of these games would be dead in the water right out of the gate, because a lot of people, they don't care. It's not their top of their list to have the newest gear, but it's frustrating whenever you're seeing gear sets that are 4 or 5 games old. So these two are new. This is new. Troy Lee Designs. I think this one's new. I don't remember this one. But the rest of these have all been in previous games. UFO. UFO, I think last year they only had this gear set. Or this one. It might have been this one. So, I mean, glad to see that we're starting to see at least a little bit of an increase. Yeah. All right. So, Cherbis. Alpine Stars, which you're going to notice something. They don't have the white Alpine Stars like they typically do. This is a mod from Pay2021 taking over this orange, white, and black colorway. But there's going to be one thing that you're going to notice. All the same colors from last year, and there are no Tech 10s. None. This is the second game in a row, or third game actually, I guess technically, because they didn't have Tech 10s in Supercross 4 or MXGP 2020. Moving on to Fox. That's okay. They don't have, I mean, some people have talked saying they need to have the solid white and solid black, which Pay2021 did. I don't really care. I'm okay with those two colors. They've got Fox in. That's a step in the right direction for me. Garnier, I don't think they were in the game at all last year. So glad to see them back. Pay2021 added some white Garnier. But, oh, he added these too. Huh. And these. Whoa. He's added more colors than I thought he was. Okay, cool. Liette. Moose. And again, this is one of those weird things where you don't have Moose gear or Moose helmets, but you got Moose boots. I just want to see a consistency. Like, if they're not going to put Moose all the way through, like if they're not going to put, you know, Alpine Stars gear in the game, then I mean, Alpine Stars is a bad example, but if they're not going to put Fox helmets in the game, it's hard to justify putting 2 of the 3 in there versus something like Alpine Stars, which intermingles a little bit more often with other brands. You don't really see that with Fox. Fox is usually matched with their own brand, or Shift, or maybe even Renin if we ever get to the point where we're going to have Renin in the game. Shot. One shot. Was it one shot? Shot. TCX. No new boots from them. Thor. UFO. These are new. I don't think UFO had boots in the last game. I didn't know UFO had boots, actually, now that I think about it. Huh. Slick. I like it. I like those. Those look slick. And that's it. That's it for the gear. That's everything from top to bottom that we've got as far as gear. Yeah. I guess I'll go into the rider, the data. Nothing's changed with the nicknames to have on the back. Nothing. And that's as big as it gets. I mean, you know, we've had how many? This is the 7th MXGP game. We're going into the 5th. That's, you know, we're over 10 games here, and it's one of those things that it's, you know, this is a simple thing that it shouldn't be an issue. You know, we're what, 12, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, whenever SX5 comes out, it's going to be the 12th game in the series, and we still have the same 5 fonts. It's a small thing, but they've had how many years to get this thing sorted out to add or listen to the feedback, and they're just not. So I mean, it's frustrating from that aspect, just because it's simple things that shouldn't be an issue, and it's an issue. Now I think they did add one, and also this is as big as the numbers gets, so I have all these maxed out. Yeah, it's just it's getting hard to justify to tell people to buy this game and support the. That one's kind of cool. This one's new. It's just getting to the point where it's a little hard to justify and tell people they need to buy the game and support the developer whenever they're clearly putting a half effort in. I'm not going to go through all the bike components just because it's going to take up too much time, but I'll go through the models. So they've got I'll start with the MXGP class, or the 450s. They got the CRF 450 RW. That's the Honda's 4-stroke. And if you go into it, livery, I mean, they've got a fair amount. And then obviously with Pay2021s, he's adding in some of the AMA mods and stuff like that to give you a little bit more of a better idea. Ah, damn. Okay. After that, you've got the FC 450. That's the Husqvarna. Same thing. And then after that, you've got 2-strokes in the game. So then there's the TC 250. You got the KX 450 4-stroke, the KTM 2-stroke KTM, 4-stroke YZ 450 2-stroke, the TM, which I didn't know they were still around, so that's kind of cool. I don't know anything about them, so they're here. They got the 2-stroke version of it, gas. And then the Fanatic, again, don't know a whole lot about it, but it's there. And then the new Beta, which I think looks pretty slick. I think it looks nice. It's a good looking bike. Ah, poop. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna set my Star Racing guy back up. So hold on. That's as big as the numbers get, which I think I don't know the disconnect in. I don't know the disconnect with the number system, because here on MXGP, I can put the number all the way back here, but on Supercross, it gets lodged all the way up here half the time, and it just leaves this huge open space in where the number plate is. I don't know why it's an issue, but it's been an issue, and last year in Supercross 3, they fixed it in a patch. Supercross 4, I don't think it ever got fixed. So, again, it's small things that are huge. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that it's an issue the way that it is. And I'm gonna pull up something right now, because I can't remember. I'm gonna pull up the MXGP calendar, because when I looked through it, I was 90% sure it was missing several tracks. But give me just a second. There we go. So we'll go through that next. We'll just go to quick modes. What am I doing? Time attack. Wow. Let's do track. Okay. So in total, there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 non-legacy tracks. And the total, I don't want 2022. Where's it at? And then, come on. There is, oh, that's not right, but either way, they are missing they're missing several tracks. And I'm sure they'll come out later in patches. Shoot, they may even be coming out with patches to update the tracks after this video. So, at the time of this video, they have not uploaded any new tracks. But they've got 4 legacy tracks. They've got Auto Biagno, the MXGP of Lombardy, and that's the Italian MXGP. Leon, which is the Mexican GP. Ernay, which is the French Agueda, which is Portugal. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this one. Into Xanadu, which is Spain. And then they've got Tuat Schinthal, the German. Riola Sardo, another Italian one. The Turkish GP, the Latvia GP, Belgium, Czech Republic, Netherlands, Majora, and then Matterley Basin, and then lastly it's Orleanic. They do have some playgrounds, which is I guess in Wales. I don't know if these are real tracks or not, but they've got it. So let's go through Lommel. No, let's do Orleanic. We'll do Orleanic. And then this is just on a stock bike. I've got advanced physics on. I'll have it clear, advanced physics. I'm going to leave all this stuff on. Yeah, let's go do some basic gameplay. And this is where I think my biggest gripe with the game is. It just, you'll see, but it feels off. So try to make it seem all cool, like, ooh, wow, look at that, there's fans. You can go through and do session times. You can do your bike setup, you can do gear ratio, suspension, all this other stuff that you've been able to do in previous games. So let's just get out there and do track. I'm going to do a lap initially of just quiet so you can hear the bike sounds, and then I'll go into my analysis. All right, so that was my first lap on this new, not new, but I haven't raced this track yet, so I wanted to kind of do a blind run through of it. I'll do a couple of laps on here just so you can see it, but the sounds to me, okay, they're fine. I'm not really a huge bike sounds guy. Like I want them to sound realistic, but I'm not going to lose my shit over it. My issue is with the overall physics. And I played it a little bit before Pay2021 gave out his physics mod, and it's a little bit better. And I don't expect Pay2021 to fix the physics of a game from a developer that this, to me, this just feels like a huge step back from even from 2029 or 2020. I liked MXGP 2020. I thought it was a good game. The physics were on point. Obviously, there were things I would have changed, but I think overall, it was a good game. It's something that I go back to and I play pretty frequently. I play 2022, so this is a game I'm going to really struggle with playing until they do some physics updates and things like that. It's just, it feels heavier than what GP 2020 did, but not in a good way. It just feels sluggish. And it could be that I've played this game for a whopping 10 minutes where I was actually going through and riding the bike, but it's I don't know. For me, this seems like a huge step backwards. Um, the freedom's still there a little bit, but you still have the canned whip, which I'm not that against, but these physics are getting to the point where they're getting free enough where I don't think they need to have that anymore. I think they need to focus their things, their time and their efforts towards something that's going to be a little bit more worthwhile to the fans. And I understand that they're having to do they're underneath a time crunch. I understand that they have to worry about their yearly contract, that they have to get these games out. I get that. But there's got to be some quality control where they're trying to make at least some steps forward, and it doesn't always have to be the physics. I would be perfectly fine with MXGP 2020 physics and them updating, the rut system, which, I mean, you can see that there's ruts here. They don't work, but you can see terrain deformation, but it's completely on the surface. You can't go through, and I can't hit the rut that I hit the last time. They have pre-formed ruts that are going to go through and do, which is a step in the right direction. Is it perfect? No. Is it what I want, or what I'm sure most fans of the series want? No. But it's at least a step in the right direction. But they did this in 2019, or I'm sorry, 2020. And it's just, I've been playing MXGP games since their first game, Mud, and comparing Mud to this, yes, it's an exceptional feat that they've come as far as they have. But if you compare this to 2019, 2020, MXGP Pro, these newer games, there's just, like, the physics to me don't make a whole lot of sense, and I'm sure as I play the game a little bit more, maybe I'll get used to it like I did with 2020. But, like, it just, you can't do certain things that you could do in 2019 or 2020. The bike is about as free as it's ever been, so I mean, that's a small step in the right direction. But I don't know. I'm like, I see the potential, I see what they were trying to do, but with this game, I don't get it. I would say this is the first MXGP game that I've really played that I'm recommending people either not buy it or return it. And yes, if you bought it on Steam, you can return this game. You can return it through Steam help.steampowered.com. You log into your Steam account, and as long as you have under 2 hours of game time, and you have it's been less than 2 weeks, you can return this game. I will be very upfront and I will be very honest that I obtained this game outside of Steam because I did not want to waste my money. Especially, I watched a few reviews before I decided to do this, and I decided I was going to play it first before I actually made the official purchase. And I'm glad I did not spend $50 on this, because I would be very, very upset, and I probably would have already returned the game and not done a video on it. Now, I'm sure with updates that there are going to be some things that are good, some things that are bad. I'm sure they're going to do patches that are going to help, fix some of these problems that are apparent, or at least I hope they will. If it's anything like how it was last year, then good luck. You're going to get one patch, and that's all you get until Supercross, MXGP 2022 comes out. I think Milestone needs to have a bit of a come to Jesus moment, if you will, because they're going through and they have to understand that people, the community, they're done. I was very much a person that would go through and defend Milestone. Like, hey, you can't expect it to be perfect. They have to release these games every year. I understand that you want to have terrain deformation, or you want to have reflex physics. Reflex isn't coming back, and people need to accept that, but whenever we're having regression in games like this, I can't help but understand where they were coming from. And it's irritating seeing a game that has so much potential to be amazing just kind of fall flat on its face. And I haven't looked at Steam reviews or anything like that since this game has come out, but I pray to God they all say negative, or mostly negative. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm gonna do one more lap, and then that's gonna be the video. If if I see some updates that come through and some patches, maybe I'll get the game and run through on some of these updates just to see if the game has progressed any. Because at this point in time, I can't say that this is a game that I would endorse for people to buy. I don't think it's worth the money. I sure as hell don't think it's worth $50. Um, is it going to be a game that I might play every once in a while? Yeah, but honestly, at this point, I would just stick with the current games that you've got, like MXGP 2020. I think is a huge step in the right direction. Was that game perfect? No, but it's not this. But yeah, I'm gonna complete this lap, and then that's gonna do it for the video. And if you've already bought this game and you're under that, I would implore you to either return it or leave a review of your honest opinions. I know I'm going to. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. As I get updates, I will post updated videos. If I see anything on there that I think is worthwhile. If you guys want to see me do the money mod for this game, it's the same as any other video that I've done. But if you want to see some reviews on tracks or things like that, let me know down in the comments below. If you've got MXGP 2021, let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think that there's other things that they've done right, wrong? Let's have a conversation. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.